Hello, hello everybody, and very much welcome to our open day. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to the midwifery presentation. I will be presenting to you, and then we have some midwifery lecturers, and we have some students from all 3 years, from the second and third years, to actually answer any questions that you might have. So please do ask lots of questions, because we really want to answer them. So I'm now going to start the presentation. So could we have the next slide, please? Well, why study midwifery at Southampton? Now, that's a really good question, and I think there are lots and lots of reasons why you should study at Southampton. One is that it's one of the best universities in the country, particularly anyway for research, but as far as nursing and midwifery goes, it is absolutely one of the best places to study. Next slide, please. We've got the city very close to the university, and there you'll see all the different things that you are able to do. It is a very diverse city. There are lots of opportunities there for you. Next slide, please. I think one of the reasons that I would suggest that would be good for you to study at Southampton would be the philosophy that we have, which is absolutely steeped in midwifery, and the fact that we all of us, lecturers and students, are absolutely passionate about midwifery. So we will be looking for people that are also passionate about midwifery in order to join our team. But this is where we start, and we absolutely look at all of your personal statements to make sure that they reflect all of these three things. So the first thing is you've got a good heart. You absolutely must be kind and compassionate, and that needs to be reflected throughout all of your paperwork and everything that you submit to us. We are looking for people that respect women, and that have compassion, and that are kind. You've also got to be very clever, and we do ask some of the highest qualifications in the country, and that is because we are one of the best universities to study at, in the country. So we do ask that you look at the criteria for admission, and that you have high grades. And also, you have to be a caring person. And the hands part is about being able to connect your intelligence with your heart, so that you can make decisions that are informed and evidence-based and will support and help women. So we are looking for quite exceptional people. And we do have a lot of applications, and we are very, we have to look for those things in your application. So next slide, please. Now this slide to me absolutely typifies what midwifery is all about. This is about working with women. It's about working with women when they're in labour, but also it's about working with women across all situations in life, both in the antenatal period, as I've said, in labour, and also in the postnatal period. So we form relationships with women, and we support them through the antenatal period, their labour, their birth, and through the postnatal period. And I don't think I can say any more than this slide portrays. And I think, if you can do this, if you can be with women, then please do apply to us. Next slide, please. So this is just to say that we are absolutely family centred. So and the hospital that we work with, Southampton Hospitals University Trust, It also is. But this slide also demonstrates that that not all birth happens in a birth centre, at home. Sometimes, you know, we have many women who have cesarean section, and just to say that we absolutely do try and encourage partners to be at cesarean sections with their partner. Incredibly important. Right in every situation. Of course, COVID has caused some issues around that, but we absolutely encourage the partner to be at the birth. Next slide, please. This also is a fabulous slide, isn't it? So this is breastfeeding is an incredibly important part of maternity care, and as midwives we do this a lot. So if you feel that you could support this woman to breastfeed this baby, please do consider midwifery as a career. You can't really go wrong. If you want to do that, you really can't. It's a fabulous career for supporting women and families. Next slide, please. So who are we at Southampton? Well, we are quite a small team, but we all have done different things in our careers, and we'll continue to do different things. So we are the team of midwifery lecturers. We are all midwives, and we are all registered with the NMC. We are obviously educators. We support students to research, and we've done some research ourselves, and Ellen Kitson-Reynolds, our programme leader, is a doctor and has done much research. And we've also been leaders as well in different parts of midwifery. There we go. Our course leader is Dr. Ellen Kitson-Reynolds, and I don't think I said who I was, but I am the admissions tutor, Maggie O'Brien. So next slide, please. Our programme is for 3 years. It's a BSc Midwifery Honours programme, and it's absolutely 50% theory and 50% practice. And that is spread in blocks throughout the year. So when you join us, you would spend three months in the university, and where we focus on giving you skills to start practice and anatomy and physiology. So the first 3 months leading up to Christmas are in the university. After that, you go into practice. So you're in practice really early on. So you're in practice from January, and then we have 2 modules, which are practice 1 and your practice 2 module. Then but in between the modules, you have modules, actually academic modules within the university. At the moment, we work very much. You're either in the university doing an academic module, or you're either in practice. We haven't thought that it's sensible to mix practice and theory. During COVID, there are times when we had to do that for lots of reasons, and as we go forward, then we may look at how we do that as we implement our continuity of care for women. So, but currently, it's very much practice and theory. Next slide, please. So how do we teach you? How do you learn? Well, there's face-to-face teaching and online teaching. So when I gave this talk for the cohort that started on last Monday, I would have said that we are prepared for all online teaching for this year. I'm very pleased to say that we are back to a majority of face-to-face teaching with some online sessions. So it's what we would call a blended mix of face-to-face and online. And obviously that's going to change according to how COVID progresses. We are absolutely hoping that we don't need to go back to all online teaching, and hopefully we won't. But should we do that, we are prepared to do that overnight. So it is no problem. Whatever happens, our programme would run. So we teach you with lectures, and sometimes those lectures are with the nurses, the allied health professionals and health sciences. But majority of your lectures are with the midwifery lecturers. We run seminars. We love discussion. I particularly love having discussions, but we love as lecturers, we love discussion. Group work is really important, and we have fabulous clinical skills labs in one of our buildings, which is called Building 67, where we have the ability to practice your midwifery skills. That's both before you start, but also once you're started, you learn things like emergency skills and all of those things. Fabulous library, which you get full use of, which is one of the best in the country. We have lots. We do expect you to be able to study or to study on your own, and so we have group studies. And today, the cohort that started on Monday actually gave presentations, and they were brilliant. So so you're expected to be able to present right from the beginning, and also your assessments, formative and summative, your assessments, your summative assessments, which are your final assessments, are in the form of essays, presentations, professional conversations, examinations, which are practical assessments, which we call OSCEs, which are practical assessments. So lots of different ways of assessing, certainly not just essay and exams. And what I should put there, which I've actually missed off, is that we also do a couple of exams, but they were left off last year because we weren't able to do exams in classrooms, but we're back to doing that now. So so next slide, thank you. So it's very much a full-time course. All of the students that are here with us today will tell you that it is a huge full-time course. You do end up, final bullet point there, with an academic qualification and a professional qualification. So that in 3 years, that is a lot of studying. So so one of the things to emphasise today is that this is not a course to be undertaken lightly. You have to be fully committed, and you have to be able to be at university 5 days a week when the university modules are running, and in practice you're expected to be able to work shifts, which is early shifts, late shifts, night shifts, and long shifts. And we are implementing continuity care quite a bit now, so to be able to follow women through to is really important. Teaching at the university is almost always in the week, and as I've already said, includes lectures and seminars and group work, and you are expected to participate and you are expected to be there. As I've already said, some lectures are with other health science students. In practice, you would work the same sorts of hours as midwives do, so that is a 37.5-hour week, and the timetable is 45 weeks a year. You do have 7 weeks annual leave, but that is already set for the next umpteen years, it is really difficult to change that. So we expect you to have your annual leave in your preset holiday. It's really difficult to change. But what I would say is, for all those things, the bottom part there, you would be making a difference. There's no question about that. You absolutely would be making a difference. It is hard, but it's really worth the qualification. Yeah, sorry, Leslie, next slide, please. The academic modules, we have academic tutors, although that's actually a midwife personal academic tutor. So from the moment you start, you will have your own tutor, which will support you through the 3 years. And we have different ones for each year. Each module has a module lead. There are expert practitioners within the trust, and we are all practitioners and researchers. We have a fabulous service within the university, which is enabling services, which is support anyone with any type of learning disability. And right from the start, you are very well supported. There's also finance support, advice. You can live in halls, obviously, and we have a Nightline bus which does go out and collect students who might get stuck in Southampton in the night. And there is a very good student union, and we also have our own MidSoc, which is our Midwifery Society. And we do have Sam here with us today, who is one of the officers of MidSoc, who will tell you about it if you'd like to know about that. But strongly advised to join that. Next slide, please. Yep, next slide, please. Yeah. So one of our modules encourages you to go and do something different, to do with midwifery, obviously, but either locally or across the world. Now, we have had issues with that during COVID, of course, and we possibly might have issues with that over the next year or two, until we know exactly what's going to happen with all the COVID restrictions. But we do encourage you to go and study some other somewhere else, so that you can get a professional development type view of something different. And that is called your elective placement. Midwives have been all around the world, students have been all around the world to do that. And it is a really good opportunity just to take some time out to find out about one aspect of midwifery that you're really interested in. That could be either an international aspect or a local aspect. Next slide, please. So we are very lucky to be partnered with Southampton Hospitals, Southampton University Hospitals NHS Trust. They are our practice partners at the moment, although we are looking at having practice placements in other hospitals, and we have started to do that. So, but they provide a fabulous experience because they are a tertiary referral trust. So women with obstetric problems would get referred there. So we have a high risk population of women, which provide students with a lot of experience. But we also have birth centres, so that you could get so women with no complications you're able to also support. So there is a wide range of experience, also in community care settings and home environments. So it is a fabulous opportunity. And as I say, there are 6,000 births a year. If you can imagine 6,000 babies, that's hard to do, but there actually are 6,000 babies born each year either at the hospital or in the birth centres. And also there is high quality research at Southampton, which you will be aware of, and partnered with us at the university. So next slide, please. And here we have some of our amazing student midwives, and this is our clinical rooms. It's our clinical skills rooms, and Ellen, who is who I've already spoken about, our programme leader, is the person with the green headband on, and she's there teaching the students. So this was a good day when we took those photos, and it was great to get back into the clinical skills labs all together. Right, next slide, please. And here we are. So just to say that midwifery is absolutely a career for life. If you're interested in women, in making things better for women and caring for women, then midwifery is a career for you. If you're not, then don't apply, because we won't have you. But if you absolutely do want to look after women, then please do apply. I would say, though, that some people do apply to midwifery because they think they're going to be looking after babies. That is not the case, and if you should go into child nursing if you want to look after babies, because midwifery is about partnership with women and their families. It's not just about looking after babies. and that baby there is just born and is already identified its mother and is looking into her face. It's a rather nice picture. So next slide, please. So what can you do if you are, what can you do once you're qualified? Well, there are so many things that you can do. So for instance, you can practice across the world. You can, there's lots of practice roles. So so consultant midwifery, for instance, you could go and be a consultant midwife if you want to stay in practice. There's management roles like heads of midwifery, directors of midwifery. You could be an independent midwife and take on a caseload of women. You could be like us, you could be educators and researchers, but there are huge opportunities once you become a midwife. I've been a midwife for a very long time, and I've never ever for 1 second ever regretted choosing to be a midwife. I've absolutely loved it. It's been a fabulous career for me. That's not saying that it's not difficult, and it's not saying that there are not challenges, but once you are a midwife, you can work almost anywhere in the world. And I think that's the final slide. There may be one more. Yeah, so 100% of our students qualified have got work or are in further study after they graduate. So we do recommend you to come to Southampton. I think that really is the last slide now. Yeah. So any questions, please do write them up, and we will be really happy to answer them. And thank you for listening to me. Thank you very much. So I'm now going to hand over to our team who are ready to answer your questions. So we'll start with Leslie, who's a midwifery lecturer.
Hi there, yeah, I'm Leslie Turner. I'm one of the midwifery lecturers here. I'm happy to answer any questions about placements. So I think there were some in the chat, but we'll come back to that a little bit later. If we just introduce ourselves first, that's probably the best thing to do. And we really welcome you here at Southampton, and we love having our new students and watching them grow. So I'm just going to let Emer introduce herself, if that's okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Emer Kelly. I'm also one of the midwifery lecturers at Southampton. Very happy to answer any of your questions about any skills or lectures or anything regarding any academic or practice placements. So if I'm just looking to see who's beside me, if I introduce you to Sam, one of the student midwives.
Hi, so I'm Sam. I'm a second year student midwife now, and I'm a member of the MidSoc committee, so the Midwifery Society at the university. So happy to answer any questions around MidSoc, around other societies at the university and student life as well. And I'll pass you over to Tessa. Oh, sorry, Jean.
Hi, my name is Tess. I'm a third year student at Southampton. I'm currently on placement, and I have a very big interest in continuity of care and kind of making sure that women see the same midwife basically all the way through their pregnancy and afterwards. So any questions about that or about the university, life on campus, in halls, anything really, I'm happy to answer. I will hand you over to another third year, Priscilla.
Hi, I'm Priscilla. I'm a third year student as well. I'm the Vice President of the MidSoc Midwifery Society in Southampton. So if you have any question in regards to that, let me know. I'm really passionate about diversity and inclusion as well. Especially this year, we're gonna discuss diversity within our midwifery society. So if you want to get involved, let us know. And if you have any questions in regards to placement or what to expect, I'm happy to answer. And I'll hand over to Jean, sorry.
Hi everyone. So I'm Jeanne. I'm a quite mature student. I'm a mother of 4 as well. A second year student as well with Sam. Very passionate as well about continuity of care and anything normal in labour, not too much obstetric-led for now. Anyway, any questions relating to childcare and how to study with children and, you know, what it is about to be a first and second year as a mature student, or anything around, you know, student life, I'm happy to answer questions as well. And handing back to Maggie, is it?
Right, I think yeah. So Tess, I think we need to start. We'll start to answer the questions, shall we? So right. So
So Maggie, would you like to answer a couple of questions about admissions? So there's two, which is how many students do you take every year? And the second one is, hi there, with admissions, as a mature student with a degree, what type of criteria are you looking for in terms of grades, admissions criteria? Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm very happy to answer that one. So so we have, at the moment, we've just had 34 students start. So we roughly have 35 places every year. I have to say that we had over 700 applicants. So so we do have to be really strict with our criteria. So we're looking for we look at personal statements, which is really important. So the personal statements must reflect the fact that you are a caring individual, that you're studying, that you want to study, that you enjoy studying, if you like, and all those things. So if you do, I'm very happy to send. We do have a document that actually talks about personal statements. So my email, actually, I will write my email at the end. But if anyone would like some guidance on the personal statement, I'm happy to send you the guidance. And also, we do ask for A levels. It's 2 A's and a B, but most importantly, you must have a science. So one of those must be a science. And also, if you're going to do an access course, it must be a science-based access course. So if you're thinking now about what you're going to be studying, make sure that it's nursing and midwifery based. If it's an access course, and that it's science-based, and study a science in school, really important.
Okay, so there's another question here which I think would be great for Jeanne, and that is, how have you managed childcare during your degree, especially on placement? Thank you.
That's a good question. So for my own experience is that I'm not from the UK, I'm French, so I've got no family around to help me out with children. I know a lot in my cohort do have their help from, you know, their in-laws or their own parents who can actually help them with childcare if they're not in school age. What I have found the easiest to manage is to have an au pair in my house, which I know now with Brexit is very complicated because au pair has not been part of the deal. So finding an au pair is extremely complicated now. I mean, you know, it's really a question of organization, I think, and then family life. I would say my rhythm works well for first year. I'm not sure if it's going to work as well for a second year, but in first year, I did manage to get a 9 to 5 every single day, Monday to Friday, and never or very rarely worked over the weekends if I was out of placement. So I could have proper family time over the weekends. So I'll see what second year leaves me to. Probably not as much freedom as I had in first year. We'll see. Sam, do you want to add anything about that?
Yeah, so I also have a young daughter. I actually deferred because I had a place originally for the for the September, and then had my daughter in the December. As much as I would have made, I'm sure, a great person for in a skills lab. I found, yeah, I do have family locally, so, you know, having people you can rely on. I know some of the other girls in the cohort have got, you know, very good friends locally who are supportive to them as well, but having someone you can rely on is the big thing, and someone who understands the flexibility that's sometimes required with organising placement, especially as, you know, you may not have lots of time to organise your childcare. You know, they do try to get us out the schedules about a month in advance, but for some nurseries, you know, they can be a bit stricter on these kind of things. That's worth checking in advance, definitely. But it's doable. You know, you book in your time to have the family, you know, when you make sure you put time aside and say, like, actually, no, that's a family day, I'm protecting that, and use that time. And yeah, it is definitely doable. I'll pass back over to Tess.
So the next question, is there any additional training or qualifications on the course? So we definitely offer study days. So the Princess Anne offers study days, things like prompt, so professional training. They also offer study days for things such as continuity of care. They also offer study days for fetal monitoring. You can go and do those up at the university. But I don't know whether Emma or Leslie, you wanted to talk a little bit more about the training courses that come alongside the course.
Yeah, I can answer some of that. So we also do a course for student midwives in year 2. Called the NIPE, so the it's basically examination of the newborn. It's a course that some midwives do after when they qualify, and it's only been ruled out in some universities in the UK at the minute. So it's a fantastic skill, and it means when the student midwives qualify from the University of Southampton, they have this skill already. So that's the NIPE exam. They have the ability to carry out that examination. Other skills, there are, you can be cannulation training, you can become competent with that. And also blood transfusion training as well, that we do within the university, but also you have that practical experience within the trust as well. Do you want to add anything, Leslie?
Just unmute. So yeah, I was going to say I could talk about practice supervisor training. So in the new curriculum, all of our students are moving in the future moving over to the new standards, and it means that students, when they qualify, will be able to be practice supervisors. So you're already coming out with a additional skill in that you can supervise and assess, contribute to the assessment of student midwives already. So previously those things were done after qualification, so now our students are coming out with all their skills ready to take on the role as a midwife straight away. So yeah, and as part of your practice training, there's lots of, we do block practice, as Maggie said, so you have plenty of time to consolidate your practice skills. They're normally about 6 to 8 weeks long, each practice placement, and as I said previously, it's full-time hours, and it's quite full on. I'm sure the other students agree. I think there was a question in the chat about whether a student could undertake another role at the same time, another job. I think that would be very difficult when you're on placement. So certainly in placement time, we really discourage you having other work. But in your academic time, it would be possible to have some very flexible part-time work if you had some hours to spare. So we know it's difficult to make ends meet, but in your placement time, it would be difficult with the travelling and the hours and the reading around what your women are doing. We would discourage that, really. So it's something to think about if you've got another role already. I don't know if there are any other questions on practice tests. Did you spot any others?
So I think they've been answered in the chat, but there's another question which might be good for Maggie, and this is about admissions. So I withdrew from a nursing place a couple of years ago because I had a child, and now I'd like to be a midwife due to my experience. Will this impact an application for midwifery?
No, simple answer to that, no, not at all. As long as you've got the right qualifications, as long as you've got the right entry qualifications, it will be absolutely fine. And actually, if you want to look at the, I've emailed a few people just to email me individually for some information, because everyone is different. But if you look at the UCAS, if you just Google UCAS Southampton University midwifery, it quickly comes up all of the qualifications that we asked for. But it's also on our Southampton website as well. I think that's probably being put into the chat.
So there's another question, which is how far are the placements from uni? So I don't know whether Priscilla, you wanted to talk a little bit about where the placements are and kind of where you've been placed, and we can all give a few examples if you're happy to.
So normally the practice placement would be within Southampton at the Princess Anne Hospital. So at the Princess Anne Hospital, we have Broadland, which is a birth centre. We also have Labour Ward, which is still situated in Princess Anne Hospital. We also have the neonatal unit, which is really, really good. We also have the New Forest Birth Centre, which is really not far from the Princess Anne as well. And we also have community placement, so we have different hubs within Southampton as well. And yeah, so I think I don't have a car, but I normally walk to placement. Normally, it's not far from me, but if you have a car, I think it will be best, because it's best, especially if you're doing case loading and things like that. I'm currently on Labour Ward as well, and you get loads of opportunity as well, learning opportunities, and the team is amazing as well. You meet a lot of doctors and consultant midwives, MSWs, and yeah, they're all really, really great. So yeah, you get loads of experience.
Can I just add to that in the fact that some of our, oh, go on, Tess.
No, you go ahead, Leslie.
Yeah, can I just add to that, say that some of our placements are a little bit further away, so you might need to go as far as Lymington or Romsey or Hedge End, so some of them are a little bit further away, and we're also exploring placements with Salisbury Trust and Portsmouth hospitals. So if you live in those areas, there may be an opportunity. We can't say for sure, but there are a very small number of places attached to those hospitals as well, so we might be able to look at other avenues and other areas for you to work and study. So back to you, Tess.
So as we mentioned at the beginning, there's MidSoc, which is the Midwifery Society on campus. So there's lots of sports societies, and there's also a lot of societies for each subject. And this year, Priscilla is Vice President for the committee and Sam is Welfare Secretary. So I think Sam's going to talk a little bit about MidSoc and kind of the community that they've got going on there. Over to you, Sam.
Thanks, Tessa. Yeah, so MidSoc is a really fantastic way to get involved and get to know people throughout the midwifery year groups. So it stretches across all 3 of our groups, and we have things like study days, you know, activities and events. It's a great way to socialise. You know, we kind of plans are for things like picnics and going outs, and just a really good way to get to know people who are in a similar boat to you, because when you're studying health sciences and especially midwifery, some other students just don't quite get it. We are a very different kind of course. We're a different breed of people, and you know, it's really good to find those people who understand what you're going through. It's great also to make those connections with the people in the years above you, to be able to kind of see what's coming, ask their expertise, and just have, you know, a bit more familiar face when you spot them on placement, perhaps. We have welfare reps like myself and Rachel this year, who we are there specifically for the welfare of our MidSoc members and our students in our midwifery. So we do want to look out for our team and, you know, support each other. And then we have people organising things like, you know, as I say, social study days. We have people running all these things, fundraising. So yeah, it's definitely something worth getting involved in, and yeah, we look forward to having you as part of our MidSoc. Thanks, Tessa.
So a new question in the chat is, with working further away from uni, if using a car would be easier, would there be areas we will be able to park a car if we're living in accommodation? So I know with the university accommodation halls, you can get permits, and I know that you can also get permits at the hospital. Sometimes in terms of petrol, if you're driving, or diesel, if you're driving further than the hospital, driving to the hospital, which is further than going to university, then this can also be subsidised for you by the university. You just fill in kind of a form. But yes, quite often, especially with the halls, you can get a permit to park your car outside your house. And then in terms of when you move into kind of second and third year, if you're living out in Portswood, which is where a lot of students tend to live, or in Swaveling, there tends to be either on-road parking, which isn't permitted, or you can just, a lot of houses do have drives. We've been quite fortunate with ours, kind of in second and third year, and I think Priscilla's the same, being able to park there. So there's a lot of, you're not going to go somewhere and not be able to park, basically, especially if you're taking your car, and it's a lot easier to do that for placement. So the next question is, what is the interview process like? Shan, would you like to talk a little bit about the interview process?
That's a good question, because I'm not sure we had the same process as you are now doing, isn't it? Because we were the COVID cohort, so. So I personally had, so after my personal statement, had been offered an interview with Maggie, Leslie and Mary at the time. And it was that was short questions that we had face to face, and that's it. And then we had, you know, good talk and feedbacks, and that's how it was. But I'm not sure if Maggie, you might want to just kind of confirm what you're now doing for the new cohorts.
Thanks, Tess. Thanks, Jean. I can actually pick up the other question as well. So that's there at the moment. So so the interview process is, so when before COVID, we used to have we used to get about 12 students to come to the university, and then we had a set of mini interviews where they would go around and speak to several people, and that included a user of the service, which would be a woman or a man who had had a baby fairly recently, and also somebody from practice. So during COVID, we went very quickly to online interviews, where that was a midwifery lecturer with the applicant online. This year, we're looking to include the users of the service and our practice partners, and that's be a midwife from the trust. But it will still be online. So they are online, and they will be. And they usually last for about 20 minutes to half an hour, and we ask you 4 questions, one of which will be academically based around your what you've done academically, but also remember that we're looking for somebody that's of a caring nature, so we do ask questions around that, but also we're looking for people that will advocate for women and stand up for women, so we want that as well. So those are the sorts of questions that we ask. Just to pick up the question that's there now, what admissions are you looking for with somebody with a degree? Yes, we do still ask for a science subject. So I believe it said sociology and physiology. You would still need a science. We do ask for that, and you also do need maths and English at level 3. So yes, so if you've already got a degree, you maybe need to do a science A level or something like that.
So we don't currently have any more questions in the chat. I'm just waiting for some to come through. If anybody has any, don't be shy. But I thought we could talk a little bit about maybe kind of our favourite experiences as students, or what we really like about the course. So I'm happy to go first. But basically, kind of my favourite thing about working, especially in Southampton at this university, is the caseloading teams. So there's multiple different teams that work in Central, West and East Southampton, known as the NEST teams, and that's needing extra support teams. So they basically work with women who have kind of extra needs, so maybe English isn't their first language, women who might have housing difficulties or substance misuse, all of those kind of things. So those women have additional appointments, and they tend to see the same midwife. They're caseloaded by a team of midwives who work really closely together. And then also when they go into labour, they're looked after by one of those midwives who they know, with the idea being that they have more continuity of care. So they're really well looked after, and they often get to see a familiar face, basically. And there's evidence to suggest that this improves outcomes for women, and it's also really good for advocating for women. So that's one of my favourite things about Southampton and studying here, and it's been a really, really great opportunity to get to be a part of one of the NEST teams. I'll hand over to Priscilla if you wanted to talk about maybe your favourite thing about the course.
So yeah, studying at Southampton, to be fair, has been a really great pleasure. I still remember the first time I got the offer, I was really surprised because like, oh my God, Southampton, like you literally me. But Southampton has been really, really good. I've definitely learned a lot about myself as well. And you just don't learn skills, but you also like develop personal skills as well, and it will help you in the future as well. I think as Tess said, my favorite part was caseloading. I was with East Nest, and they were really supportive, and I've definitely learned a lot, and it just gives you the opportunity to give that extra support to that group of women that they need it. I also enjoy really labour ward because it's really high risk, and I really enjoy high risk care because you never know what you're going into, which is kind of intriguing to me, but I really love it. As well as I'm really passionate about inclusion and diversity as well. Within Southampton, when you come in placement, and especially, you will find a lot of different groups as well. So it makes you more cultural aware as well of other cultures, and be able to, you know, be respectful and understand their culture and things like that. So it has been really great. It has been challenging, I won't lie to you, but it has been really good, and you won't regret it. Trust me, you won't regret it.
I think Maggie's just answering a question about access to healthcare professions. So I don't know if Shan, you wanted to, I know we've just got kind of 13 minutes left, if you wanted to mention your favourite part, and then Sam, and then if Maggie wanted to kind of give a little closing speech.
What I think I enjoyed the most for my first year so far has been the fact that we are straightforward very early on in practice, which I didn't thought it was going to happen that early. So it's a bit scary at the beginning because you're like just starting uni, and your first placement starts in January, so you're literally very, very fresh into midwifery. So you think you know nothing, but you actually develop your skills very quickly, at least the basic ones. And all the midwives so far have been very supportive of the learning experience. They've really pushed you to try and ask questions and do and practice, and it's really been it has a huge impact on your own development, as Priscilla was saying earlier, and boost your confidence and keep going and keep learning and being even more curious of things that are around you, and being more aware of the needs of the woman and how you impact their care as well. Sam, if you want to add something.
I think for me, it's how much, like, not only me, but I can see it in others as well, how much we've all grown in a year. Like, just being a second year now, it's crazy to see where we are in just a year, how much, like, I know I've developed as a person in a year, how many opportunities I've seen and taken advantage of. And you really do just have to take, any advantage, any kind of opportunity that comes your way, you kind of got to seize it, because there is so much you can gain from the course. Yeah, and it really does just kind of make you grow as a person. You kind of don't realise until you see the first years coming in, and they all seem like really scared or really new to everything, and you're like, oh, that was me a year ago. And sometimes you still don't think you know what you're on about, but then these first years ask you a question, you're like, oh, I'm a fountain of knowledge. So it's really great. It builds your confidence in yourself, and yeah, it just helps mold you into that person. So it's great. Thanks. Go back to Tessa.
Okay, so Maggie's answered that final question in the chat, and I was going to hand back to Maggie if you would like to kind of say a few final words, unless anybody else has any more questions. Thank you.
So this is your final chance to put a question in, if you have got one. I did see there was a question there about support. Did anyone answer that one? I think because we do, support is really important, and something that we really take very seriously. So as personal academic tutors, we support throughout the year, but throughout all 3 years, but there is also enabling services, which is excellent, that is a university service that I can't recommend highly enough, actually. So unless there are any more questions, we will I'll say thank you very much for coming today, and for staying with us. I see that you've stayed with us for the time. I hope you found it useful. Do email me if you have any more questions, and Sam has just put there, follow MidSoc on social media, very important. Like their page, that's the thing, like their page, and you'll get lots of information through that if you do. So thank you for coming, and I look forward to receiving your application. Thank you very much. Thank you.